I travel a lot for work, long stretches of highway where the only landmarks are billboards and the slow creep of numbers on the odometer. I used to hate rest areas, flickering lights, stale vending machines, the vague sense that everyone there was either exhausted, lost, or running from something. Then they added the connections rooms. The first one I saw was off Interstate 9, a new sign bolted under the usual rest area next right, smaller letters beneath, now featuring Connection Lounge. I assumed it was some telecom sponsorship, a Wi-Fi hub or charging station. After 300 miles and too much gas station coffee, a comfortable chair sounded like salvation. The main building looked normal enough. Bathrooms, a row of vending machines, a tired family arguing over chips. At the end of the hallway, where an old brochure rack used to be, a frosted glass door had appeared. Soft light glowed from behind it. A subtle, humming warmth leaked around the edges, like a sunlit room on the other side. A brushed metal plaque read, "Connection Lounge for travelers awaiting their connections." I remember frowning. "I drove here," I muttered. "What connection?" The handle was warm when I touched it, not from the building's heating, body warm, like someone had just been holding it a second before. Inside, the air was different, softer. The harsh fluorescent glare of the rest area faded into a gentle amber glow that made the corners of the room feel pleasantly blurred. A dozen chairs were arranged in loose rows, not bolted plastic but plush armchairs upholstered in dark fabric that swallowed the light. Each one had a small side table with a built-in wireless charger, a neatly folded blanket, and a little card that said, "Please remain seated until your connection arrives." There were no windows, no TV, no visible cameras, just that warm, steady light and the quiet murmur of the air system. Two people were already inside, a woman in a business suit with her eyes half closed, and an older man staring at nothing with a faint smile on his face. Neither looked up when I entered. Neither had luggage. Neither seemed to be waiting for anything at all. I checked my phone. 3:17 p.m. I told myself I'd sit for 10 minutes, just long enough to let my back stop screaming. The chair embraced me. That's the only word for it. The cushions didn't just support my weight. They adjusted, rose to meet me, eased pressure from my spine and shoulders until my body felt weightless. Warmth seeped up from the seat, not enough to make me sweat, just enough to make every muscle sigh. I didn't remember closing my eyes. When I opened them again, I was still in the chair. The room looked exactly the same warm light, same quiet hum. But the woman and the older man were gone. The chairs they'd been sitting in were empty, blankets folded neatly as if they'd never been used. I checked my phone, 8:43 p.m., 5.5 hours. Gone. My heart kicked hard against my ribs. I stood up too fast, vision swimming, and stumbled into the hallway. The rest area was nearly empty now. Just one trucker buying coffee from the machine, not looking at me. Outside, the parking lot was darker, my car sitting exactly where I'd left it under a flickering lamp. I checked the odometer when I got in. Same mileage, gas tank exactly where I'd left it. No missed calls, no texts, nothing to explain where the time had gone. But something felt different. As I merged back onto the highway, my GPS recalculated and offered a route I'd never seen before. Alternate route 14 minutes faster. The map showed a series of turns through back roads I didn't recognize, cutting through what looked like empty farmland before rejoining the highway miles ahead. I ignored it at first, took my usual route, but 10 minutes later, staring at brake lights stretching into the distance, the GPS chimed again. Same alternate route, same promise of saved time. I took the exit. The road was narrow, unlit, bordered by fields that blurred into darkness. No signs, no other cars, just my headlights cutting through the black and a faint sense of déjà vu creeping up my spine, left at the leaning mailbox, right where the tree line breaks straight through the unmarked intersection. I'd never been here before, but my hands knew exactly when to turn. When I merged back onto the highway, I checked the time. I'd gained 16 minutes. Over the next few days, it kept happening. New shortcuts appearing in my GPS, routes through neighborhoods and service roads I'd never noticed. Every time I took one, my body moved with eerie confidence, braking before I consciously saw the stop sign, turning before the GPS voice finished speaking. It felt less like navigation and more like muscle memory. I started hearing whispers online. A trucker forum mentioned the connections rooms. Sat down for 5 minutes, woke up 3 hours later. No memory. But now I know every back road in the Midwest. A Reddit thread asked if anyone else had experienced time skips at rest stops, followed by sudden knowledge of routes they'd never driven. The comments were a mix of jokes and genuine unease. One user wrote, "It's like someone downloaded a map into my brain while I was asleep. That's exactly what it felt like." I told myself I wouldn't use the rooms again, but a month later, stuck in gridlock during a snowstorm, exhausted and running on fumes, I saw another rest area with the same frosted glass door, the same warm glow, the same plaque. I only meant to sit for a minute. This time, the room was different. Same chairs, same light, but the air felt thicker, more deliberate. 3 people sat scattered across the space, heads tipped back, eyes closed, breathing in perfect unison. Slow, measured breaths that didn't sound quite human. I sat down anyway. The chair pulled me in faster this time, warmth flooding my limbs before I could second guess. My eyelids dropped, but I didn't fall asleep. Instead, I felt something else, a pressure behind my eyes, like someone was projecting images directly onto the inside of my skull. Roads unfolded in rapid succession, highways I'd never seen, exits that didn't exist on any map, entire cities laid out in perfect detail. I watched myself drive through them, hands steady on the wheel, taking turns with absolute precision, left at the warehouse with the faded mural, right after the overpass with the rusted guardrail, straight through the tunnel that smelled like diesel and wet concrete. It wasn't a dream, it was an upload, and then I saw it. In every vision, at the edge of every road, the same figure stood watching. Tall, still face turned toward my passing car with the patience of something that has waited a very long time. At first it was distant on overpasses, in parking lots, behind chain-link fences, but with each new route it moved closer, standing at intersections. Leaning against lampposts, sitting in the passenger seat of an empty car I drove past. Its face was always turned just slightly away, just enough that I couldn't see it clearly, but I knew with a certainty that made my stomach clench that it was watching me learn. I forced my eyes open. The room was empty now. The 3 people who'd been breathing in unison were gone. My phone said 11:52 p.m. for hours had passed. I stumbled out to my car, hands shaking, and checked my rearview mirror as I pulled onto the highway. For just a moment, I saw a figure standing at the edge of the rest area parking lot, perfectly still, watching my taillights disappear into the dark. The shortcuts kept coming. Not just suggestions anymore, compulsions. I'd be driving a familiar route and suddenly feel the urge to take an exit I'd never used, follow a street that didn't appear on my GPS until I was already on it. And every time I did, I'd arrive faster than I should have, shaving off minutes that didn't add up mathematically. But the routes themselves felt wrong. Too empty, too quiet, streets where no one else ever drove, neighborhoods with no pedestrians, intersections where the lights cycled for cars that never came, like the roads had been built specifically for me. One night, following a shortcut through an industrial area I'd never seen, I passed a parked sedan on the shoulder. The driver was slumped forward, head resting on the steering wheel, engine running. I slowed, thinking they'd had a heart attack or fallen asleep. Then I saw their hands. They were gripping the wheel, tightly, knuckles white, and their lips were moving, mouthing something over and over in the darkness. I didn't stop. 2 miles later, I saw another car, same position, same posture, driver upright, hands locked, lips moving silently, then another and another. A whole line of them parked along a road that my GPS insisted didn't exist, all facing the same direction, all mouthing words I couldn't hear. I gunned the engine and didn't stop until I hit the main highway again, heart hammering, sweat soaking through my shirt. I haven't been back to a connections room since, but I don't think it matters. Because the shortcuts are still there. The routes are still downloading into my head, clearer and more insistent with every mile I drive. My GPS has stopped offering alternatives, it just reroutes me automatically now, guiding me through roads I've never traveled but somehow know by heart, and every time I take one, I see more of them. More cars on the shoulder, more drivers with white knuckles and moving lips, more empty roads that lead to places that shouldn't exist yet. Last night, I dreamed I was back in the chair, but this time when I opened my eyes, I wasn't in the rest area anymore. I was in my car, hands on the wheel, driving a highway I didn't recognize under a sky with no stars. The figure sat in the passenger seat beside me, finally facing forward. "Where are we going?" I asked. It didn't turn. It didn't need to. "Wherever the connection takes you," it said in my own voice. When I woke up, I was sitting in my parked car in my own driveway, engine running, hands gripping the wheel. My lips were sore, like I'd been talking for hours. I checked my dash cam. The footage showed me pulling into the driveway at 11:43 p.m., but I don't remember driving home. I don't remember the last 2 hours at all. All I know is that tomorrow I have a meeting 3 states away, and my GPS has already plotted a route I've never seen before. It promises to save me 40 minutes, and no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to ignore it. So if you ever see a frosted glass door at a rest area, glowing warm and inviting, promising a place to sit and wait for your connection, don't, because the connection isn't coming to meet you. You're being prepared to meet it, and once the route is inside you, you'll follow it whether you want to or not. Follow Midnight Manuscripts for more horror stories.